Okay, so in today's video, we're going to be going through a couple of really simple exercises to help strengthen up the hip flexors. Now, the hip flexors, small muscles at the front of the hips. They are muscles that are designed for basically helping the knee raise up to the chest, the hip flexion. So when you're pulling your knee up or pulling your leg up, those hip flexors, they do a reasonable amount of work. And unfortunately for a lot of hikers, these muscles, they get really tired when we're doing elevation hiking. Now, typically, when we are hiking, when we're going up hills, the bigger muscles in the legs do quite a bit of work. So the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, they all sort of contribute in their own way to when we're going up hills. And we typically, as hikers, will do a little bit of development on those areas to help train them. And a lot of the time, that's absolutely fine, and that gets us where we need to be. However, for many hikers that I do talk to, sometimes while the quads, the glutes, the hamstrings may be feeling okay, sometimes they feel like the hip flexors, those little muscles in the front of the hips, that they're the limiting factor. And particularly when we have elevation days and lots of climbing, these muscles get really tight, they get really sore, really burny, and they realize that that is something that needs a bit of work. However, the whole idea around hip flexor strengthening is a bit foreign for some people, because all the time we're told we have tight hips, we need to stretch it. And we may have done loads and loads of that, and it's given us a little bit of short-term relief. But if this is a recurring thing you feel on the trail where they're getting really burning, really tight, really sore, it's probably worthwhile exploring strengthening up this area. So as part of your strength training sessions, doing some specific exercises to hone in on this area and make a bit of a change. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a few really simple exercises which you can slide into your training to help develop strength, capacity and resilience through this area. So if you do struggle with your hips getting really tight, really burning, really sore when doing elevation hiking, hopefully this can make a bit of a difference. Now these exercises, all they require is a band, so a mini band or a TheraBand, which you can buy online for like $10 or any sporting goods store. But with all that being said, let's get into the exercises and we'll talk through them all.
So the first exercise here is an isometric hold with a band. Really simple. All you're going to be doing is wrapping a band around your feet. You're going to pulling your knee up to about 90 degrees, keeping the toe pointed upwards, and you're basically just going to hold this position from anywhere from 20 to maybe 45 seconds. Now, keys to this is you should be feeling it in the front of the hips, and you should be feeling that small muscle in the front of the hip getting a little bit of attention, and essentially just hold this position and just try not to let yourself wobble too much. If you struggle with balance, just hold onto a wall, a chair, or whatever it may be. That does not matter. And if this is a bit too easy for you, just simply use a thicker band and load up a little bit of extra resistance. Now, the second exercise in this progression is we're going into a bit more of an active movement. So exactly the same as last time, but now we're doing repetitions instead of an isometric hold. So drive your knee up, slight pause at the top, come down. And then with this one, again, if it's too easy, use a thicker band. Now, the third exercise in this series, we're basically combining a bit of core development with a bit of hip flexor strengthening as well. So in this version, you're holding a full plank, back flat, abs squeezed on. You're going to drive your knee up to top position, hold that for about 5 seconds, and then return to the back. And then basically we're just going to repeat this maybe 5 to 10 times. Again, as you get stronger, just use a thicker band or do longer or more repetitions. And then the final exercise of this series is we're going to be integrating this with a side plank. So a little bit more challenging again. Essentially, you're in your side plank position, driving the top knee up to the chest, slight pause at the top, and then slowly lower. Again, if this is too easy for you, use a thicker band. Now, as you can see here, it is a challenging variation. I'm shaking all over the shop. So ideally, you'll be a little bit more steady than me when demonstrating this, but it can be really effective at combining both core and hip flexor strengthening.
Okay, so there you go, 4 really simple exercises to help develop strength and capacity through those hip flexors and ultimately hopefully help you feel more comfortable, more capable, and just have a better time on those big elevation days on the trail. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about strength training and how it can get you fit, strong, resilient, and really help with many common discomforts and aches on the trail, and you want a little bit more about how a structured and specialist program can help you with your hiking, you can check out my website at summitstrength.com.au/online. Now, on that particular page, you'll be able to have a read through one of my online training programs for hikers, in which we basically take hikers and help develop their fitness, their strength, their capacity, their resilience, to ultimately get them in a position where they can step into any trail they want, and not only get through it, but just have a good time throughout. So if you were interested in learning a little bit more about that, check out my website, summitstrength.com.au/online, and you're going to have a read through how I go about things there, and there's a little contact form on that as well. But aside from that, I really do hope you've enjoyed today's video, hope you get a little bit out of it, and I hope it gives you some insight into this very particular type of strengthening for hikers. If you do have any questions, any issues, or anything like that, please do let me know. But aside from that, have a lovely day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.